رسوله الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي ربي زدني علما ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاه يا ربي زدني علما اللهم فقهنا في الدين ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار آمين يا أرحم الراحمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once again, inshallah, we will be continuing with our tafsir of Surah Baqarah, and we completed until ayah number 134 last time. Today, we will be talking about ayah number 135 till 141. Does anybody want to share anything from last time or anything during the week that they thought about from last week's class or anything at all before we begin?
Yes, I would like to share something.
Yes, please go ahead, sister.
Okay. Um, um, Ibrahim, when he was asked submit, he said, I have submitted, not I will submit.
Mhm.
And he didn't say what for, why, or anything like that. As opposed to um, the Jews, at the time when they were asked to sacrifice a cow, they had to ask which cow, they they were so reluctant that they had wanted every I dotted and T crossed and things like that. That's a sort of behavior I think most Muslims should be um, sort of what is it aiming for? Is if Allah said do this, you're not going to ask why. Give me a reason. Can I not do it? Can I do it tomorrow? Can I just if that is what Allah has said, just do it because there is a good reason behind it. You might not know it now. Eventually, it will be clearer to you, but just do it. Don't ask for details. That's my interpretation anyway.
Subhanallah, that's such a beautiful observation. Subhanallah, may Allah Ta'ala make us truly the followers of Ibrahim al-Islam in every sense. Okay, inshallah. Anybody else would like to share anything else?
So, sister, assalamu alaikum. I'm new to
Well,
the group, so the this is how we. I don't know how we do it because I never did it before. Was here, so
oh, sorry, my bad. I should have given you a bit of an introduction. So basically, this is on Wednesdays. What we do is the first half an hour. Sister Hayam teaches how to read the Arabic alphabet, which you were doing just now. And
mhm.
after that, what I do is we talk about the lessons from the Quran, from the tafsir of the Quran, which is the tafsir means the meaning, the exegesis, like the different opinions, different scholars, what they have documented about those ayat and different hadith and different things that we learn about that ayah from our tradition, and then we derive lessons from that for ourselves.
Sure.
So we started from the beginning of the Quran itself, from Surah Fatiha, and then we continue every week. And now
Oh,
we have, until last week, we completed until ayah number 134 of Surah Baqarah, which is the second surah of the Quran. And today we are going to do six more ayat. And with these six ayat, we will be completing the one part of the 30 parts of the Quran, and which are called juz or sipara. And what we do is I share my screen in which I have the ayat of the Quran written. I play the recitation, then I go over the word by word meaning of of every word, what is the meaning of that word, and then a brief explanation after I do all the ayat of that day about the word and word by word meaning. Then I explain a little bit about what is happening in these ayat and what are we learning from these ayat and things like that. It's not a very interactive class while I'm speaking, but before I start talking about the ayat of today, anybody is welcome to share their thoughts from during the week or from the last week's whatever the lessons we learned, like Sister Fatima just shared. And at the end of the class, once I finish talking about these ayat, then anybody can after that anybody can ask their questions or have share any of their thoughts or something that it triggered some like whatever you learned today, if it triggered some thoughts in your mind or if it reminded you of some incident or something, then you're all free to share that inshallah as well at the end.
Allah, jazakallah khair.
We so that's how we will be literally going. So let me just start now. So we'll start with the, because we've got a bit longer passage to cover this week. So ayah number 135. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
وقالوا كونوا هودا أو نصارى تهتدوا قل بل ملة إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين.
Okay. So wa qalu. Wa means and. Qalu. Qalu means they said. So it's a plural. They said in past tense. Okay. So wa qalu, and they said kunu. Kunu is to be. Like in we learn in Quran in other places kun fayakun. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says be and it happens. So um, Alaikum. So sorry, anybody wants to say something?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Alrighty. No, I just wanted to ask, are you sharing the screen now? Because I don't see anything if you are.
I'm sharing what? Sorry.
Are you sharing the screen? Because I don't see anything.
Yeah, I'm sharing the screen. Can other people see the screen?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I'm
Yes,
sharing the
we can
screen.
hear.
Maybe if you log out and log in again, maybe you should be able to see it, inshallah. Okay, so I'll continue. وقالوا, and they said kunu, be what? Hudan. Hudan refers to Yahudi. Yahud was referred to, the Jews are referred to as Yahudi. Right? So Hudan means Jews, or Nasara. Nasara refers to Christians. So what they're saying is, and they say, be Jews or Christians, tahtadu. Tahtadu comes from hidayah, dal, and ya, hadaya, huda or hidayah. So tahtadu, then you will be guided. So they are saying that if you be Jews or Christians, then you will be guided. Kul. Kul is a command from say. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to say. So kul, say, bal, nay. In fact, the matter is millata. Millata is the way of doing something. Milla is a way of doing something. Millata Ibrahima. The way of doing something, it's also referred to as religion. So kul bal, say, nay, millata Ibrahima, the religion of Ibrahim, Hanifan. Hanif, the upright. So Kul, the Prophet ﷺ is told to reply to them saying, no, in fact, millata Ibrahim Hanifa, the religion of Ibrahim the upright. Hanifa refers to Ibrahim al-Islam here. It's a quality of Ibrahim al-Islam referred many times in the Quran as Hanif. Ibrahim al-Islam is referred many times. We'll cover a bit more detail when we come back to the ayah. Wama, wa, and ma, not. Wama, kana, kana, he was. And not he was. Who is he here? He here refers to Ibrahim al-Islam. And he was not minal mushrikeen. Mina of or from al-mushrikeen. Mushrikeen comes from shirk, and mushrikeen is someone who does shirk. Like Islam is a religion or the way of life of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Muslim is someone who submits, who follows Islam and submits. Shirk is to associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and mushrik is someone who does shirk, right? Iman is something that we have in our heart, and mu'min is someone who has iman in the heart, right? So the slowly as we go ahead, we start recognizing the patterns of words like mushrik, mu'min, muslim, right? Someone who does something, right? So that person is called a mushrik, and mushrikeen is a plural. So minal mushrikeen is he was not from the mushrikeen. Now we don't have to remember all of this that I'm telling you, but slowly as we keep listening, we get familiar with these words and the plurals and the singulars and everything. So we can just look at that. So this ayah was saying that they say, and they here refers to the Jews and the Christians. They say, be Jews or Christians, so you will be guided. Rather we follow the religion of Ibrahim, inclining towards truth, and he was not of the polytheists or the mushrikeen. Then ayah number 136.
قولوا آمنا آمنا بالله وما أنزل إلينا وما أنزل إلى إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق ويعقوب والأسباط وما أوتي موسى وعيسى وما أوتي النبيون من ربهم لا نفرق بين أحد منهم ونحن له مسلمون.
Kulu, say. So Kulu is a plural of kul. Kul is when we are saying to one person, say. Kulu, when we are saying to a lot of people, all of you say this. Right? So Kulu is a command for given to a lot of people. Kulu, say. And here the Muslims are being told. Earlier the Prophet ﷺ was being told, say this. In this ayah now, the Muslims as a group or the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, and by extension all of us are being told, say what? Amanna. Amanna comes from amana is iman, to believe something. Amanna, we have believed. The na at the end refers to we. Amanna, we believed. Kulu, say we have believed. Billahi, in, we is in Allahi, the word Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So say we have believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa ma, wa and ma what, unzila. Nazala means to reveal something, something that comes down upon us. So usually it's referred to for revelation that comes down upon us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the revelation down upon us and He revealed it to us. So wama unzila, and what is revealed, ilayna, to us, wama, and what, unzila, was revealed, ila, to Ibrahim, Ibrahim alayhi salam, wa Ismaila, wa is and Ismail is the name of Ismail alayhi salam, wa Ishaqa, and Ishaq alayhi salam, wa Yaquba, and Yaqub alayhi salam, wal asbati. Asbati refers to the descendants, the children, not just the children, but children's children and their children and their children and their children. So basically, the offshoots of somebody. So there's one person, and then all his next generations, all his future generations combined, like children and then their grandchildren, they all branch out, and also all those people, all the descendants, they are called asbat. So Ibrahim, Ismail, Ishaq, Yaqub, and their descendants. Wama, and what? Utiya. So ata, to give something. Utiya, when is a passive tense, so it means was given something. So and what was given? Who was given? Musa, Musa alayhi salam. Wa Isa, and Isa alayhi salam. Wama, and what? Utiya was given. An Nabiyuna. Nabiyuna is the plural of Nabi, and this refers to all the prophets, and was given to the prophets. Mir Rabbikum, min, from, Rabbihim. Rabbihim, Rabb is the Lord, Rabb, him is there. So Rabbihim, two words get combined and becomes their Lord. From their Lord, La nufarriqu. La is not, like we say, La ilaha illallah, right? La, no. There's no God except Allah, right? So La, not, nufarriqu. Farak is to make a distinction, to divide something, like this is different from this thing, right? To make a distinction. Nufarriqu, we do not make a distinction. We do not, La nufarriqu, we do not make a distinction. Baina, between, ahadin, anyone, minhum, of them. Min is one word, whom is one word. They combine to be minhum, of them. Wa nahnu, wa is and, nahnu, we, lahu, to him. La is to who is him. Lahu, to him. Muslimun, we are submissive. Muslimun is Muslim is someone who submits. Muslimun is plural of Muslim. So Muslimun, a lot of Muslims. So we are to him submissive. All of us are to him submissive. So here the ayah is saying, say, O believers, all of you say that we have believed in Allah and what has been revealed to us, and what has been revealed to Ibrahim and Ismail and Ishaq and Yaqub and the descendants of all of them, and what was given to Musa alayhi salam and Isa alayhi salam, and what was given to the prophets from their Lord. We make no distinction between any of them, and we are Muslims, means the one who submit to him as in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then ayah number 137.
آمنوا بمثل ما آمنتم به فقد اهتدوا وإن تولوا فإنما هم في شقاق فسيكفيكهم الله وهو السميع العليم.
For in, for is so, in if, amanu, they believe. They here refers to the Jews and Christians of that time. So we are talking of about the Jews and Christians in Medina at the time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right? So for in amanu, if they had believed, bimithli, in the like, ma of what, amantum. Tum here refers to all of you. Amantum, you have believed. So if they believed in the like of what you have believed, bihi in it, faqad, fa then qad indeed, definitely, ihtadaw, they would be rightly guided. Wa in, but if tawallaw, they turn away, fa innama, then only, fa is it, then innama only, whom they, fi are in shiqaq. Shiqaq is to have a shak, to have a doubt about something, to have a dissension, to be divided about something. So they are, then only they are in dissension. فَسَيَكْفِيكَهُمْ. So this has many words together, this phrase. Fa is one word, seen is one word, yakfi is one, and kaf is one, and hum is one word. So, um, it will happen soon, orsa, ankarib. Yakfikahum. Yakfi will suffice you. He'll become kafi for you. Like we say in Hindi and Urdu, kafi ho jayega. Something that will be enough for you, right? Yakfi, he will be enough, ka, for you, whom, against them. So he will suffice you, as in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will suffice you against them. Allahu refers to, is making clear the pronoun here. For fasa yakfikahum, fasayakfikahumullah means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will suffice you against them. Wahuwa, and he, as-sami'u, is the all-hearing, al-alimu is the all-knowing. So if they believe in the same as you believe in, then they have been rightly guided. But if they turn away, then they are only in dissension. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be sufficient for you against them. And He is the all-hearing, the all-knowing. Nobody hears and nobody knows like He hears and He knows. And number 138.
من الله صبغة ونحن له عابدون.
Okay, Sibghatallah. Sibgha is color. So there's another word for color in Arabic called laun, which is an original color of something. Sibgha is a color that is put on something. So, for example, when a cloth is dyed into something, so you put a cloth and the cloth was white, and you put it to dye, and you dye it, say blue or green. So then it has taken the color. So Sibgha is a color that is put on something with some effort. So Sibgha, the color, Sibghatallahi, the color of Allah, the color of Allah. Waman ahsanu, waman, and who, ahsanu is better, minallahi, than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sibghatan, at coloring. Who is better? The color of Allah. And who is better than Allah at coloring? Wa nahnu lahu abidun. And nahnu, we, lahu, to him, are what? Abidun, are worshippers. The next ayah.
قل أتحاجوننا في الله وهو ربنا وربكم ولنا أعمالنا ولكم أعمالكم ونحن له مخلصون.
Qul, say, atuhajunana. Is making this a question. Do you do something? So we put a hamza in the beginning. Atuhajunana. Do you argue with us? Atuhajunana. Sorry, atuhajunana. Do you argue with us? Fillahi, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wahuwa rabbuna, while He is our Lord. Wa rabbukum, and your Lord. Walana, and for us. A'maluna are our deeds. Amal is the something that we do with intention. Fi'al is something that we do whether it is with intention or without any intention. Amal in Arabic is something that we do intentionally. So walana a'maluna, and for us are our deeds. Walakum a'malukum, and for you are your deeds. Amalukum, kum refers to all of you, na refers to all of us. Okay? Walakum a'malukum, and for all of you are the deeds that all of you do. وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُخْلِصُونَ, and we to him are what? Mukhlisun. Mukhlisun comes from khalasa. Khalasa, the same root of also ikhlas. Right? When you have ikhlas in something, when you do something purely for the intention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we to him are mukhlis. Khalis. Like we are purely, our intentions are purely for his sake alone. And number 140.
أم تقولون إن إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق ويعقوب والأسباط كانوا هودا أو نصارى قل أأنتم أعلم أم الله ومن أظلم ممن كتم شهادة عنده من الله وما الله غافل عما تعملون.
Or taquluna, do you say, inna, that Ibrahim, Ibrahim alayhi salam, wa Ismaila, and Ismail, wa Ishaq, and Ishaq, wa Yaqub, and Yaqub, wal Asbata, and the descendants, Kanu, they were, Hudan, the Jews, or Nasara, the Christians. So they're being told, or do you say that Ibrahim, Ismail, Ishaq, Yaqub, and their descendants were Jewish or Christians? Qul, say. So here the Prophet ﷺ is being told to say, Qul, Antum, are you, a'lamu, better knowing, amillah, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they're being told, and here again, the Jews and Christians at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, who were in front of the Prophet ﷺ, who knew that he is the Prophet, who knew from their own books the paths which had not been changed yet, which told them that he is the Prophet. They had understood that, and yet they were opposing him out of their pride and arrogance and everything. So and they were making excuses, and they were saying that you are guided only if you're a Jew or a Christian. To that, the Prophet ﷺ is being told to reply, Kul antum a'lamu amillah. Are you better knowing, or is Allah better knowing? Woman, and who, adulamu, is more unjust. Adulam, it comes from dhulm, dha, lam, and mim, dhulm, to do injustice, to put something where it does not belong, right? To give a right of something to somebody where it does not belong. So when the biggest dhulm, like we talked last time, is shirk. When we worship somebody other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that's the biggest dhulm of this world, because the right of worship belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And adlamu is a superlative degree of something. Like when we say kabir, it's big. But when we say akbar, is the biggest, the most big, right? So when we say Allahu Akbar, Allah is bigger than everything, right? And when we say adlam, is more unjust. So who is more unjust than um, so the biggest injustice, that the person who's doing the biggest injustice, who's more unjust. Waman adlamu, and who is more unjust, mimman, than the one who katama, concealed, katama, to hide something, to conceal something, shahadatan, a testimony, shahada, a testimony, or a truth that was said. So somebody who conceals the truth, indahu, that he has, minallahi, from Allah. So somebody who has been given a truth by Allah, and then he hides that truth that Allah Ta'ala has given him, who can be more unjust than such a person? وَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ مِمَّنْ كَتَمَ شَهَادَةً عِنْدَهُ مِنَ اللَّهِ وَمَاللَّهُ and not Allahu is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be ghafil. Ghafil to be unaware of something. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not ghafil amma. It's from two words an and ma. Of what? Amma ta'amalun again comes from amala to do something of what you do. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not unaware of what you do. Yes, you might be able to hide things from people or other or your community or your people or your society, but you cannot hide anything from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this ayah is saying, or do you say that Ibrahim and Ismail and Ishaq and Yaqub and that their descendants were Jews or Christians? Say, are you more knowing or is Allah more knowing? And who is more unjust than the one who conceals a testimony that he has from Allah? And Allah is not unaware of what you do. Then 141.
تلك أمة قد خلت لها ما كسبت ولكم ما كسبتم لا تسأل عما
Tilka, this, Ummatun was a community, Qad, which, Khalat, has passed away. Laha,
This,
for it,
yeah, sorry. There is a lot of background noise, like a wind or something. I cannot hear you very well. I'm missing some words.
okay,
Is there anybody's sort of mic not muted?
Somebody's mic is unmuted. Somebody's mic is unmuted. It says G something.
okay, it says guest
Guest
65.
65.
Yeah. Sister, could you please
G.
mute your mic?
The background noise has disappeared now, so I hope
Okay.
whoever it is muted. I'll let you know. But I couldn't hear you very well. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry about that. But thanks for letting me know. Jazakallah. Okay. Tilka ummatun qad khalat. This was a community which khalat has passed away. Laha ma kasabat. Laha for it ma what? Kasabat. Kasaba to earn something. So that community for it is what it earned. Walakum and for you ma kasabtum is what you have earned. So tilka ummatun qad khalat laha ma kasabat walakum ma kasabtum. For them what they have earned, for you what you have earned. Wala tus'aluna and not you will be asked. So you will be not asked about what? Amma about what? Kanu they used to ya'malun. They used to do. So this that is a nation which has passed on. It will have the consequence of what it earned, and you will have the consequence of what you have earned, and you will not be asked about what they used to do. So this is the same ayah that we learned in ayah number 134, the end of last week's ayah, and it's the same I repeated, but we'll go over it again. That the lessons on it, why the same words are repeated here, and they have some different lessons for us. So, inshallah, we'll start in a little bit more detail from ayah number 135 onwards. So, here, before this, what we learned about was the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam and how we learned some things about the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And then we came, now the switch is being made from that time to the current situation, as in not current as in now, but the current situation at the time that these ayat were being revealed in Medina at the time of the Prophet ﷺ and the Jews and Christians of that time. And the ayahs that we're covering today are what will show how off they were from their original legacy of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Although they made a claim that they were the spiritual followers of Ibrahim alayhi salam, yet they were having this thing. Sister, can you please mute your mic? I think there's some disturbance started again. So guest 65, I don't know who you are, but can you please mute your mic? Assalamu alaikum, sister. I don't know if I cannot mute your mic. You have to mute yourself. Thank you. Jazakallah khair. Okay. So,
Nidhi, I muted her mic, so you can mute their mics also.
oh, I
I
can.
muted it for her.
Oh, thank you so much. I don't know how to do it,
Okay.
but you can tell me next time, inshallah. Okay, so we'll continue. Ayah number 125. So we were talking about, now we've moved from, now in these ayat, we're going to talk about the current situation of the Jews and Christians in Medina at the time when these ayat were being revealed, and what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about their situation and how they're reacting. So about the time that this ayah was revealed, it is said by Sahaba Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, that this was revealed concerning the Jewish leaders in Medina, and their names were Ka'b bin al-Ashraf, Malik ibn as-Saif, and Abu Yasir ibn Akhtab, and the Christians of Najran, because they all used to argue with the Muslims about religion, and each group of them would claim that they are upon the true religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as opposed to others. So the Jews would say some things like, our prophet Musa is the most superior of the prophets, and our book Torah is the most superior of all the revealed books, and our religion is the best religion. And they rejected Jesus or Isa alayhi salam and Injil, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the Quran. The Christians, on the other hand, they said, our prophet Isa is the most superior of all the prophets, our book Injil is the best of all revealed books, and our religion is the best religion, and they disbelieved in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the Quran. Each of these two groups, which is the Jews and the Christians, they would say to the believers, follow our religion, and there's no other religion than that. And thus they would call them to their faith, like they would call people and say that come to our faith. And also Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he said that whenever a child was born to one of the Christians, what they would do is they would anoint him with water, which they had no, which they had, and they called it al-ma'mudi, in order to purify the child and everything. They would say that they're purifying this child, and then they would say that this cleansing with water is in place of circumcision. And if they did this, he would be considered a true Christian. And then this ayat was revealed concerning that you can't, like, basically the point of the matter is that whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in his religion, even in their books, they were not following that as well. They had created practices to kind of take themselves away from this. Oh no, this we can do that. Although they had no dalil for it. They had no basis for it. They created things by themselves in their religion, and then they started following them much more religiously than the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So when this is what happens when when any group of people, the book they are sent, the deen that they are sent, when they put that behind, then what happens is the deviations start happening, and groups start forming up, and then these groups, they start arguing with each other, they start fighting with each other. The point is they put the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as secondary, and they started looking at all other things that anybody else had created as more primary, as more important for their religion, rather than, so these practices that they created, they looked at them more than their own book, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given them, right? And they had created these groups like Judaism, Christianity, started as little offshoots, but then they developed as their own groups, right? And even for us, the Allah's Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he told us to be Muslims only, right? And
I'm on meeting. What's the name? This is my name. I'm on meeting.
okay, somebody's unmuted again. Thank you, Linda. Okay, so okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that the right faith is the faith of Ibrahim al Islam that we learned in the previous ayat. And when we go to our roots, when we go to our faith, then we don't get divided. Then we don't get divided into different things, right? And here, um, their audacity is being called out. Like, how can you say that? How can you make this claim of exclusivity that no one is going to Jannah except, like, they made this claim before, that we learned before in the surah, that they made this claim that nobody is going to Jannah except Jews and the Christians, right? And although they had a lot of divisions amongst themselves, the Jews and the Christians of that time, they united in their hostility to Islam, in the sense that they said there's this new third religion. What is this new third religion being propagated in the name of Islam and everything? This is no religion. The true religion is, and even though they were divided, they would say, oh, if you're a Jew or a Christian, then we'll still consider you something. But what is this Islam thing? We don't understand this Islam thing. And for us to understand, for ourselves, no doubt that each of these two religions, in its own time and for its own time, was a genuine religion. First of all, we don't we are very clear about that. It was, we love and respect Musa alayhi salam, and we love and respect Isa alayhi salam, and we love and respect Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and all the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though we know their names, and there are many whose names we don't even know, but we love and respect all of them, right? And we know that whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in that time and for that time was the right religion, was the genuine religion for whoever followed it. But in its present form, as in the form, even at the time of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 1400 years ago, in the present form that the religions were present, they had become distorted and were had been abrogated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We learned about abrogation. Is it like when something's okay, now there's a new version has come out, and this is the latest and the new and updated version, and this is the version that's going to be followed from now on, right? So the deen of Allah, the the books that came before Torah and the Injil, they were the divine books, but they were good for that particular period, for that particular period of time. And when the Quran came, this is the final book, which is the final revised book for everyone in this, and it is something that is going to last until the day of judgment, right? So these two religions, we don't, we're not, there's nothing against these religions, but against the deviations that have been created in those divisions, right? And then Qul bal millata Ibrahim, the religion of Ibrahim, the way of Ibrahim, the tariqa, the hidayah, the way that Ibrahim followed his religion, that is the way of Ibrahim, that is the way of doing something. And Hanifa, Hanif is one of the adjectives that is used for Ibrahim alayhi salam many times in the Quran. It is the opposite of Janaf. So Janaf is to be biased or to lean towards something, towards what a person wants or what everybody else wants or the society wants. Hanaf, as an opposite to Janaf, is to incline or bend towards the right thing, towards one thing, and then to leave everything else, to divert from a road that everybody else is taking to come to the right road, right? To come to one road, one way, and then leave everything else. So Hanif is someone who turns away from everything that is false and devotes himself single-mindedly to the service of Allah. Like in Urdu, they say yaksu, to be yaksu of something, right? So the way of Ibrahim al Islam was he was Hanif. He was Hanif, as in he rejected everything else. He rejected the ways of his society. He rejected the ways of his parents. They were idol worshippers in his family. He rejected all those ways. He even did not look at the pressures of his parents, of his society, of his children, did not stop him from submitting himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he was Hanif in that sense. He was single-mindedly devoted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The focus of his life was towards submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and towards serving him. And Quran rejects assertions of Jews, Christians, and polytheists. All three groups, they said that they were the spiritual followers of Ibrahim and Islam. But here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, no, what is the way of Ibrahim and Islam? You say that you are the followers of Ibrahim and Islam. The people of Makkah said, we have inherited the Kaaba. We are the custodians of the Kaaba. So we are the people who are the true inheritors of Ibrahim alayhi salam. On the other hand, the Jews said, we are the inheritors of Ibrahim alayhi salam because we are the people who are from Bani Israel, whose lineage goes back to Ibrahim alayhi salam. And the Christians said that we are the true inheritors because, like, we not only believe in Ibrahim alayhi salam, but we have Isa alayhi salam, which is they regard as somebody above all the other prophets and everything. And they create a lot of things about Isa alayhi salam, which were there. But here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that to be of the people of Ibrahim alayhi salam, what do you have to do? You have to follow the way. You don't have to creating a label or calling yourself this and that I am this or I am that. Putting a label on yourself does not make you the follower of Ibrahim alayhi salam. To be a follower, you have to follow the way of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And what is the way of Ibrahim alayhi salam? Hanifan. To be Hanif, to be single-mindedly devoted to the service of Allah and to never deviate from the straight path, which is that straight path, the path of Ibrahim alayhi salam. One small grammatical thing here is Hanifan. The way it is written, it's called in Arabic, it's called hal, which is an active state. So for in simple terms, what it means is if I say to someone, this is a wise man, right? So that man has a quality of wisdom, but that quality might not be manifested right now. For example, that person might be sleeping right now. I still say, okay, he's a wise man. He's sleeping right now. That man who's sleeping, he's a wise man. He has the quality of wisdom, but he's not displaying his wisdom right now. He's sleeping right now. So that quality exists, but it is not active right now. It's in a dormant state. As opposed to that, something which is in hal in Arabic is said to be something which is active, which is in an active state and actively happening right now. So this religion is the religion of Islam is in the state Hanifan means it is in hal, means like that the way of Ibrahim al Islam and by extension Islam is in an active state of active state, like so the religion of Islam has a living power to deviate us away from everything else. So the more we commit ourselves to Islam, the more we become focused on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and on pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on following his commandments, on learning about him with the true intention that okay, I come with an open mind and whatever and I'm also come with an open mind and I also have an open mind to accept if I am if I need to learn something and unlearn something, if I come with that intention towards the deen of Allah, towards learning about the deen of Allah, then it will empower me to follow the right thing despite what anyone else says, whether it's society, whether it's culture, whether it's whatever else. As long as I'm focused on pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it will, Islam has that quality that it will, the more I go into it, the more it will make me honey, the more it will make me upright, the more it will let loose all the other foundations from me, which is the heart of Tawheed, that we not just worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we also exclusively worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Exclusive being the keyword, that no idols come in our way, no societal pressures come under our way, no fake standards come under our way, no consumerism come under our way. Like, okay, I have to do this, I have to get this, I have to get that, and I have to watch this series or have to get this model of phone or this model of something. All these things are there, but they are not the focus of my life. The focus of my life is not to prove myself for anything else but to prove myself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to show him, to be there to serve him. And when we develop that quality, and how do we learn that quality? We learn it through the life of Ibrahim alayhi salam, who submitted himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala despite whatever whatever pressures he had. So he didn't just, what did Ibrahim alayhi salam do? He did not just break physical idols. We learned from his story that he broke the idols, but he also broke other idols. And what were the other idols? Sometimes our idols are love for our own body, for example. And he broke that idol when he was okay with being thrown into the fire for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He broke the idol of love of his own children. He was asked to sacrifice his own son, and that was a son that he had got after a long period of waiting, of being childless for a long period of time, and then making dua for a child and getting a child in the end, and then being told to sacrifice that child just when that child was at the age that now the child can talk to you and play with you, and you're starting to develop that bond and everything, and now he's told to sacrifice that son. Obviously, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not intend to take his son from him, but that was a test for him, and he passed that test with flying colors and he broke that idol, right? And so what we are learning here is that having a label or is not something that makes us the people of Ibrahim. Again, following the way of Ibrahim. And what is the way of Ibrahim? Makana minal mushrikeen, to not be from any mushrik, to not have any idols, to not do shirk. And shirk is not just physical shirk with idols. Shirk could be like we said in all other forms, that the pressures of society, pressures of fake standards of consumers, or any kind of pressure, then he is not going to take all those pressures and submit himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this passage, we'll see a lot of times the word kul being used and the word kulu being used. Right? So when the word kul is used in the ayat that we're doing today, it is referred to the Prophet ﷺ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to the Prophet ﷺ, Ya Nabi, you say this, aap ye kahiye, right? And when it says kulu, then it's like all of you say, so that is referring to all of the Muslims. Muslims, you say this, right? And in previous ayat, it was established that this religion is the religion of what? Millat Ibrahim. This religion is the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And now it is being established that the actual ambassador of the religion of Ibrahim, of the Millat of Ibrahim, is who is the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam, we learned in the previous ayat, they made the dua, Ya Allah, make the city a peaceful city, raise from that a messenger, and make us of the Muslims, accept it from us and everything. And the actual heir of this legacy there of Ibrahim alayhi salam is Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? And the shirk of the Jews and the Christians of that time, again not all of them, but the particular group of Jews and Christians of that time, at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, their shirk, their idol was what? Their shirk was pride and stubbornness, right? So, and as we said, mushrik is someone who does shirk. And in the next ayah, what we're learning is, say, Muslims are being told now it's a plural, kulu, say, so Muslims, now your Prophet, so it's like, imagine that there's a whole community of people. First, the leader of that community is being told, okay, you say this. And then all the other people in the community are being told, okay, now all of you, you say this. Right? It's almost like saying that the messenger will speak, but you all must speak too. You all have a responsibility too. The messenger won't always speak on your behalf. You must speak out too. When there is a time and a place, then you must speak too, right? So we are being told just from this interplay between the word kul and kulu, we are being told that we have a responsibility towards our religion as much as like our Prophet he fulfilled his responsibility, and we have a responsibility too now. He has left us with his legacy to continue and to learn about his religion, to spread his religion and do that thing. So we have to do that too, right? So say, what do we all have to say? That we have believed in Allah and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down to us. And we don't just believe in that. Yes, you all are arguing that you have to be Jew to be right person, and the Jews are saying Musa alayhi salam was the most superior. Christians are saying Isa alayhi salam was most superior. What we are saying is, we are not saying that Muhammad Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the most superior, or this prophet was most superior, that superior. We are saying that we believe in Allah. That is our main point. And then we believe in what was sent down to us. What was sent down to us is the Quran, and what was sent down to Ibrahim and Ismail and Ishaq and Yaqub and all their descendants. Whatever was sent to each of them, we believe in all of them. We don't differentiate between that Ibrahim alayhi salam was on the right path, but Ishaq alayhi salam was not on the right path. And although they, when people make, when some people say no, Bani Ismail are not the people that, like for example, Bani Israel, they're making the claims and they're saying things like the children of Ismail are not the rightly guided people, and we are the rightly guided people, or they're saying we are superior or whatever. When we are replying to their thing, sometimes what happens is when somebody says something wrong and we are trying to reply to that, sometimes in that reply we exceed the truth as well. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us that yes, when somebody is saying something wrong, counteract it, say the truth, but you say the truth as it is. In replying to someone or in a debate or something, don't go beyond the limit as well. So we are saying yes, Bani Ismail alayhi salam was a prophet, we know, and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a prophet, but we also recognize that the children of Ishaq were prophets too. We don't deny that they are not a part of their tradition and not a part of our tradition. So, for example, nowadays, if people say anything offensive, Audhu Billah, may Allah Ta'ala protect us, about as much as if somebody would say anything offensive about the our Nabi, we get very, very offended, and we should be. Similarly, if anybody were to say anything offensive against Musa alayhi salam or Isa alayhi salam, we should be just as offended, because they are as much our prophets as those of Jews or Christians. It's not that, as far as Muslims are concerned, there's no division. All prophets from Adam alayhi salam to the last prophet, the first prophet Adam alayhi salam and the last prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all of them are our prophets, and we believe in all of them, and we believe in whatever was sent to all of them. We do not believe in the books as we have now, because we don't know which part has been corrupted, and we don't know which part is still intact from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent it. But we do know there are some parts in those books which are still correct. And how do we know which parts are correct? Whichever parts are verified by the Quran. So Quran is a muhaymin. Quran is a guardian of the previous scriptures. So when anything relates to the Quran, and when in light of Quran, it ties in with what Quran is saying, we accept that. from the previous scriptures. If anything goes against the Quran, we don't accept it. So that's our thing. And as far as the prophets are concerned, we believe in all those prophets, and we believe in what came down to them. Right? They all got whatever they all got. We believe that was divine revelation. We believe it was correct, and we believe in the revelation which came to us as well. So we don't, in trying to justify what we have, we don't discredit what came before, because that was also from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That was also from the same God that we believe in. It was not from any other source or any other thing, and we don't disbelieve in that, right? And we are being told how to respond to the divisions and distractions and other things that are created in religion, right? So just because we believe in our revelation, we don't deny others and we don't reject others. That's the main point, right? And so the simple thing until the day of judgment is that we follow what the Prophet ﷺ told us, what the Prophet ﷺ taught us to the best of our ability. We try to find out more. If there's a disagreement, we try to find out what is the truth, and then we follow it to the best of our ability. As long as we have that intention, even if we have differences, inshallah, Allah Ta'ala will still aid us. Because even if we disagree, as long as our intentions are there to please Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, then it's all good. Okay. And here we are being told that let others do what they're doing, but understand who you are. You are Muslims. What is a Muslim community? A Muslim community is someone who is justly balanced. It's a justly balanced middle community. We do not reject any part of guidance, and we do not deny any of his prophets or messengers. We believe in all of them without discrimination, and we believe that teachings given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to earlier communities, they have been mixed with human teachings, and some of them have been forgotten or lost, whereas the final Sharia, which is the Quran, is true guidance, and it's in final and perfect form. And we learn at other places in the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took the responsibility of preserving the Quran upon himself, that the Quran will be preserved. And over the last 1400 years, they have been, if we just learn over the history of Islam, we will see they have been at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and even after, until today's day as well. It's continuing that we see people trying to attack the Quran, people trying to destroy the Quran, the people who do hifz of Quran, they had been murdered, and then they had their books of Quran which were burned. Like, people have done all sorts of things to want to destroy the Quran, yet Quran still exists exactly letter by letter, every single letter exactly as how it was revealed and preserved. Right? And Quran still exists like that, and it will exist Allah, until the day of judgment. It will not go anywhere. The word isbat, when after all the prophets, the word said wal asbat. Asbat here comes from sibt, which means to grow and spread. Right? Yaqub alayhi salam, which was Ibrahim alayhi salam's son was Ishaq alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam. Ishaq alayhi salam's son was Yaqub alayhi salam, which is also, his other name is Israel, or the servant of God. And his son, he had 12 sons. All these 12 sons eventually became tribes. They all settled in Egypt at the time of Yusuf alayhi salam. And eventually these 12 sons, through their children, they became 12 tribes. And they kept increasing and increasing and increasing up till the time of Musa alayhi salam, when he got them out of Egypt. Then they were in their thousands, right? So this, from Yaqub alayhi salam, it had grown into, this whole group had grown into thousands upon thousands of people. And Asbat, the tribe, it had gone into so much tribe. And Sabt also refers to hair. So as many as a hair on a head, right? So they had grown into, from one person, they had grown into so many people. And Sabt also refers to, in Arabic, another word is branches of trees. So how many that come after, like, so there's one trunk and then branches, it branches out, and then from those branches, more branches come out, and then from more branches come out. So it's like that imagery here in one word. So from all these prophets, all these people had come, and uh, out of all these people, now Musa alayhi salam and Isa alayhi salam, they came from, like, Musa alayhi salam came from this group as well, from the descendants as well, but he's being singled out of them, because Musa alayhi salam and Isa alayhi salam, they mark the beginning and the end of the Sharia of Bani Israel. So Musa alayhi salam was given the Sharia with Torah, and Isa alayhi salam, or Jesus, was given the Sharia with Injil. But we as Muslims, what we do is we believe in all the prophets, and whatever was given to all the prophets from their Lord. And we don't differentiate between any of them. So we are not exclusivists. Muslims are not supposed to be exclusivist in nature. We are not supposed to be like, only this group is going to Jannah, or only this thing is happening, or only this, we only believe in this prophet and that prophet. No, we have a regard for all the revelations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, although we follow the Sharia, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said this is the Sharia now, and everything before is abrogated. Although we believe in it, but we still stick to our Sharia, but we respect it, and we believe that it was from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So yes, Allah gave preference to some in terms of the prophets. Some people have this confusion sometimes that, okay, what do you mean by we don't differentiate in any of the prophets? Because some prophets have different levels, obviously, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to Musa alayhi salam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls Ibrahim alayhi salam Khalilullah, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is called Habibullah, like he was the beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So how can we say that we don't give preference to one over the other? What we are trying to say here is there are two concepts. One is called tafdeel and one is called tafriq. Tafriq is to create a farq, to separate here. So like here we are saying, la nufarriku. We don't separate them. We don't say that this one was valid and this one's not valid, or this one is the best messenger and everybody else is not a messenger. We Audhu billah, that we won't accept them as messengers or everything. That is a different concept. So we don't separate them. They're all one body. They're all from one God. One God chose them one after the other, and we accept all of them. Tafdeel is another concept which means fadl. Fadl is the rank, or to give a fadl. So different messengers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave different fadl, different. So like five messengers are called the more prominent messengers in the Quran. We hear about them a lot, like Nuh alayhi salam, Ibrahim alayhi salam, Musa alayhi salam, Isa alayhi salam, and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? So these five, we learn about them a lot more than the others. But that does not mean that other people, we don't regard them as prophets. We still regard them as prophets, although the level, of course, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the final prophet and is the seal of all prophets. So that is a different fadl of Allah on him. But we don't do tafriq. So we don't la nufarriku. We don't differentiate between all those prophets. Wa nahnu lahu muslimun, and we are Muslims only before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Earlier in this surah, if we look at this phrase, وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ, this was the same phrase earlier used by the sons of Israel when he was on his deathbed, Yaqub alayhi salam, and he told his children that, okay, who are you going to worship after me? And they said, we are going to worship your Lord and the Lord of Ibrahim, of your fathers, Ibrahim and Ismail and Ishaq, and we will be وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ, and we will be to him submissive. They use the same phrase. And this same phrase, we are being told as Muslims to repeat the same phrase here, that we believe in all these prophets and we believe in what was sent to all of them, and we don't differentiate between them. And in fact, نحن له مسلمون, in fact, we are the ones we are following the sons of Israel more than the people who claim to be the followers of the descendants or the followers of Israel Islam. So it's like it's almost like their ancestry is being ripped out of their hands and being given to Muslim. It's like it's almost like you can say the ethnic pride is being replaced by pride in faith. So what's the most important thing? We are the ones who are actually following the legacy of Yaqub alayhi salam, of Israel alayhi salam, and his sons. And although you claim to be related to them, but you're not following. You're just taking the name and you're not following it. The whole point is, what are we doing and how are we following it, right? So this phrase, when the same phrase is repeated in the Quran, then a lot of scholars, what they do is they study the similarities, and what does the same phrase kind of signify being repeated here, right? So here they're saying وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ, and in reply to their claim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that so if they believed in what you believe, so these people, the Jews and the Christians, if they had believed in what you had believed in, as in they had let go of their deviations that had, so over a period of time in different cultures, when religion is practiced, sometimes practices come up, sometimes they borrow practices from the region that they're living in, or and they become a part of mainstream, and then they start following it, and then sometimes people don't even realize what is the culture and religion mix up so much, they don't realize what is the part of religion and what is not, and they become very fanatic about things that were not originally a part of religion. But here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, if they had followed like you followed, as in if they had, once they started to understand, once they started to let go of the practices that were not a part of their religion, and they started coming back to the real way of Ibrahim alayhi salam, to follow his criteria, then they would have been guided. Indeed, they would have been guided if they would had followed like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if they had followed the way of the Ibrahim alayhi salam and his your Prophet ﷺ, then they would have been guided. Then there was no question about it. Guidance has come now, right? So guidance does not come from following a label. It comes from following the straight path. But if at the same time, now that there's no, we learn later on in the Surah Baqarah itself, La ikraha fid din. There's no compulsion in religion. We just give the message to the best of our ability, and then it depends on the other person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given each one of us free will to accept or not to accept the faith. Obviously, once we accept the faith, then there are rules and that we need to follow. Just like when we are going in a country, until I have landed in Canada, if I'm in India, then I follow the rules of India. The rules of Canada don't apply to me. But if I take the citizenship and I move to Canada and I live here, then I don't say, I wouldn't say that I'll follow the rules of India. I have to follow the rules of Canada now. So there is no compulsion in making someone accept the religion. But once somebody accepts, then there are rules to be followed, and there are certain guidelines that our religion gives us. Then we have to follow it in that way. Then we can't create our own diffractions in it, and then our own things in it, right? But what happens is, so if there's a group amongst them, if they follow exactly like you follow, then they'll be guided. But another group, what they do is, if they are, even after understanding it, if they move away because of their arrogance, because of their hostility towards you, because of anything they don't want to do, then it is all arrogance. Then it is, and they are like, no, until you are a part of our sect, our group, our if you call, until you call yourself Jews or Christians, then you're not guided. If you call yourself Jew or a Christian, you're guided. Otherwise, you're not. No, no, we're not going to listen to anything. If they're not even bothered about that, then that's just their stubbornness and pride and hostility towards you. And that they're doing it out of their zid, out of their uh, pride and arrogance. And sometimes we can understand that, like, for example, there's a mother and the child is a bit upset or throwing a tantrum or something, and the mom's like, okay, drink your milk before you sleep. And the child is hungry, the child is crying, but and wants to sleep, want to eat, and want to drink, and knows that he needs it, but because the child is so in that tantrum mode, the child won't drink at all. It's like, no, 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 I won't drink it. And he's crying and he's hungry and everything. He needs it, but he won't have it because he's just in that mode of tantrum, right? So this, it's being compared something like that, that these people who turn away after they have understood the truth, and then they turn away, then it is something like that. They're showing arrogance about that, right? And but if somebody, and about these people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that if you see people like that around you, if there are people who understand the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then turn away, or then try to create problems for you, try to scheme against you, try to create scandals against you, try to create divisions in your people, try to create all these things, try to tear away and create extreme diversions amongst people, then know one thing, فَسَيَكْفِيكَهُمُ then for you, who will suffice against them? What do you need against them? Do you need to create any weapons for yourself or start getting into debates with them? No. What you need to do is you need to understand that Allah is enough for you against them. Allah will suffice you against them. What you need to do is believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will suffice you. And who is that Allah who will suffice you against them? Allah is the one who hears everything and who knows everything. These people might be doing something, any people who might be doing something against you, but don't worry. Allah ta'ala will be sufficing you against them. And how do you get that help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What do you do? Sibghat Allah, the color of Allah. Like uh, rid yourself. When you need to color a garment into some other garment, what do? We get rid of it, all the other color, because if that garment already has a yellow color, for example, and then we try to turn it red, then it might turn something into orange. It won't get the pure red color. If we want to get a pure color of some on a fabric, what do? We need to do? We need to get rid of all previous colors and then put the color of something, right? So the color of Allah, color yourself in the color of Allah, dye yourself in the color of Allah. Whose color is this? This is the color of Allah. It's not white or black. It's not Arab or non-Arab. It is not. It is not this language or that language. The color of Allah is, the way of Ibrahim alayhi salam. That is like the similar grammatical construction. Millata Ibrahim, sibghat Allah. Right. So it is. It's almost to say when the scholars study these ayat, they are like it's almost like Millat Ibrahim is being answered in a couple of ayat later. What is the Millat of Ibrahim? Sibghat Allah. To color yourself in the color of Allah, right? And to look at the Quran and the Sunnah and how they teach us, what does the Quran teach us, what did the Prophet ﷺ teach us, and do things in that way to the best of our ability, right? And it also is a subtle allusion to the point of baptism in Christians. What they do is they have a yellowish kind of a water. There was a practice amongst a group of Muslims and then Christians, sorry, that on the seventh day of birth they would have this yellowish water in which they would anoint the children, and this color would be wasted away with water without leaving a trace outside or inside. And but they called it baptism or purification. Even when somebody accepted Christianity, that's what they do. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is saying, and a lot of scholars said that in as opposed to that, the color of Allah is a color that doesn't just color your outsides, it also colors your inside. It like your heart takes on the color of Allah, your behavior takes on the color of Allah, your mannerisms take, your habits, your the things you do, your lifestyle, your day, your business, your activities, everything that you do in your life, your worship, from your worship to your business to your driving to your family life, everything takes on the color of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what gives us sukoon, like that's what gives us a peace of our life. And this is also an invitation to the people, like because the Prophet ﷺ, although he's talking about the differences, the Prophet ﷺ is also the Rahmatul Alameen, right? At the same time, he's also inviting these people, come. This is the color of Allah. This is the same Allah that is your Rabb and my Rabb. Let us let us color ourselves in the color of Allah, not anything else. وَنَحْنُ لَهُ عَابِدُونَ. And it is to Allah that we all worship. It's almost like saying, what is wrong with you? We are not. It is to Allah that we are worshipping. You are worshipping Allah. I am worshipping Allah. There's nothing different amongst that. We are all worshipping the same God. There's nothing wrong with us. And then he asks, "Kul." So the Prophet ﷺ is told to say, "Do you argue with us about Allah while He is our Lord and your Lord, and for us are our deeds, and for you are your deeds?" So when some people don't listen and when they are stubborn and everything, then say to them, reply to them, you arguing with me about Allah? You're questioning the Quranic concept of God itself, although you have the same concept. If you look at your books, you have the same concept, right? And sometimes what happens is when any of us we start going towards the deen, when we start practicing deen a bit more, even people from our own religion around us, they start making jokes about us, they start pulling our leg or making excuses, and they start sometimes saying, okay, you're becoming too conventional, you're becoming too old, like you're becoming a bit too serious, aren't you taking this a bit too seriously now? So the answer to that is, why are you getting upset? This is Allah. Don't you believe in Allah? You believe in Allah, then how can you say that? How can you think that going towards Allah, following the millat of Ibrahim, following the way of Ibrahim, doing something for the sake of Allah, how can you find any fault in that, right? This is something that we are all supposed to do. You have that in your books too. We have that in our books too. We are following the same God. We're trying to worshiping the same God. But although whatever I do is for me, my deeds are for me, and your deeds are for you. Also, this also reminds saying that although you can put whatever label you want, and you can follow the ancestry that I'm the children of Ibrahim or I'm following that, but just that is not good enough. Ibrahim al-Islam, Ishaq al-Islam, all these other prophets that we learned about, they did their deeds, but their deeds were for them. Now you are accountable for yourself. You do something for yourself. You have your own life. You have all your own limited time on this earth, and you're supposed to do your own things. So you cannot rely on just because I'm from their ancestry, I'm good, I'm set. No, you have to do your own effort. like I think we said last time, if somebody is a child, like somebody is a doctor, then their children, just because they're children of a doctor, they won't be allowed to practice medicine. They have to get their own degree. They have to study for themselves as well. Somebody who's a child of a lawyer, my father is a lawyer, then I don't end up practicing law just because my father had a degree. I have to get my own degree. I have to get my own education, even though I might have learned little, picked up a little bit things from him here and there, but that's not good enough. I need to do my own work too, right? We understand that in this worldly life, but we don't, although we understand it, but we try to um, find excuses when it comes to akhirah, right? In terms of akhirah also, it will be our own um, um, it can be our own thing, right? So what we do, welcome sister Mariam, no problem, inshallah. So وَنَحْنُ لَهُ mukhlisun, and we have ikhlas, right? So ikhlas is something that is it's so beautiful that some scholars say that ikhlas is something that no other human being around us can know what we have and how much we have. No, not even angels can know that, and not even shayateen can know what ikhlas has. Ikhlas is something which is a secret between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his servant, or his servant, right? So it is purity of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A mukhlis is someone who has purified himself, right? So what we do is when we have ikhlas, what are we doing? We are worshipping none other than Allah, none other than Allah. We are associating nobody with Allah, and we are doing good deeds only for the sake of obeying Allah and not for the purpose of winning the admiration of people, right? So here, everybody, we are being told that we are mukhlis, like we have this ikhlas. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, or do you say about all these prophets and their descendants that they were Jews and Christians? Can you really do you know what you're saying? It's like the historical account is being told, and they're being told, do you actually know what you're implying? Judaism and Christianity never existed at the time of Ibrahim al-Islam or Ismail al-Islam or Ishaq al-Islam. They were all Muslims. They were not, they were all who had submitted themselves to Allah. They hadn't created all these, we are Jews and we are Christians. All Yahuda, on which the Judaism, they call themselves Yahud based on one of the sons of, name of one of the sons of Yaqub al-Islam, whose name was Yahud, Jahuda, I think. So, here the point is being said that Hudan, Nasara, all these names and all these labels came later. How can you say that Ismail or Ibrahim or Ishaq, they were of any of these labels? No, they were Muslims. Why don't you just be Muslims? Why do you have to create all these labels amongst yourselves and everything, right? And so here that's what they're being told, right? So just think about it. And when somebody tries to prove their point, and when they try to although historically it makes no sense, but when they try to put their argument and they say, no, 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 Ibrahim, okay, what will happen to Ibrahim? For the Christians, if they you bring up what will happen to Ibrahim al-Islam, right? You say you're the followers of Ibrahim al-Islam. Jesus or Isa al-Islam was not even born at that time. So what will happen to Ibrahim al-Islam? And they created all these stories like, you know what, even Ibrahim al-Islam will not go to Jannah. He will be like almost like stuck in an elevator or sort of a thing somewhere in between. And when Isa al-Islam will come and he will say, yes, I believe in Isa, then he'll be allowed to go. So they have created all, and you ask them, okay, where do you get this story from? Where do you get this from? They're like, no, 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 this is how it is. Although there is no, it is nowhere, or like something like this is nowhere there in the Torah or the Injil, but they've created these ideologies. They've reconstructed theology to fake and fit their own concepts, right? So when you create a deviation in the deen, then to justify that deviation, you have to create more and more and more things, right? So here is just use your sense, right? Ibrahim al-Islam, Ismail al-Islam, they were Muslims. The Prophet ﷺ was Muslim, right? All these people are Muslims. So call yourself a Muslim. Why do you have to go this route and that route and that route and that route and then start arguing about all of this? You all worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And who is bigger, more unjust than one who hides the testimony? Like these people, they had the Torah had told them who the final prophet was. It told them the signs of the final prophet, and it clearly explained the religion and the beliefs and the ways of the life of Ibrahim al-Islam, Ismail, Ishaq, and Yaqub al-Islam. They were very clearly detailed in the Torah, and they knew it. Yet they were denying all of it. They were hiding all of it. They were hiding all of it, and just label was enough for them. They didn't want to practice that, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, who is bigger, more unjust than all of you? So you're no different than the mushrikeen of Makkah, because they are denying the worship of Allah, and you're denying the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you're saying you worship him, you're saying you follow the way of Ibrahim, and you are proud to be of the legacy of Ibrahim, but you don't even want to follow anything of that. So what's this going on, right? So this is, they're being called out on that, and they're being told that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not unaware of what you do. You might hide what you have in the Torah from other people around you. You might think that you've got away with it, but know one thing, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, and He will reveal parts of those things in the Quran, and He does that many times in the Quran. We learn a passage literally from the Torah or the Injil, and this was what was said in that, and the people who were there were like, oh my God, how did they come to know about this, right? They don't know Hebrew. The Sahabas at that time, they didn't know Hebrew, they didn't have access to the Torah, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew, and they forgot that it's the same Rabb who's sending the Quran, who sent down the Torah. So they don't so they don't do that, right? And in the last ayah, right? تِلْكَ أُمَّةٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ لَهَا مَا كَسَبَتْ وَلَكُمْ مَا كَسَبْتُمْ وَلَا تُسْأَلُونَ عَمَّا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. So this is a community which has passed, for it what it has earned, and for you what you have earned, and you will not be asked about what they used to do. This is very identical to the verse 134 that we learned before, and here they're being told that Nabi Sallallahu is being given the consolation, because he used to get worried about everybody else, right? He's being told, yeah, Nabi, your work is only to give the message. Once you've given the message and you do your own best, then it is upon the other people what they do, whether they accept it or not. So don't feel accountable for what they are doing. And even today for us, all of us, our job is to give the message correctly and fully to the best of our ability, and keep trying to improve ourselves, and keep trying to learn more and spread more. Rest about the other person, it is not our position to cross question other people, and to force them to accept what we are saying. We just share the message, and then it's up to the people. Before, the wisdom in the repetition of this ayah, a lot of people said that in Quran there's no word which is extra. Every word has a meaning, and if the ayah has been repeated, there's a meaning for it. Like before, in the previous passage, which ended with ayah number 134, Ibrahim alayhi salam's history was told, and after his history, it was told that be proud of his history and don't be passive. Also live by it. And now, in this passage that we learned today, we are learning about the delusions of this history that have been created, and then the corrections have been told, that you don't just get to claim his history without following it. The discussion is that Quran doesn't just keep things in historical and spiritual realm, or just theology, and it brings them down to reality. Like, what are you doing? What is it that you need to do, right? So just reading Quran and pondering over it and saying, wow, this is cool, or this is very impressive, or wow, this is so beautiful, and feeling the calmness of the heart and everything, that is all good, and that is a part of it. The Tadabbur of Quran is a big step that we are all supposed to take. But the point of all of it is very simple, which comes back to the reality, so that our hearts connect more to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are profound implications of the ayat of the Quran, and we reflect deeply on the Quran. We are told to reflect deeply, so that we can become a more humble slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the understanding and learning about the Quran, the effect of that should be that our sajda get better, our connection with our Rabb in our sajda gets better. That's when we will know that we have had the impact of learning about the Quran. May Allah Ta'ala make us of those people who are able to benefit from the Quran, who are able to get the best from our interactions with the Quran, and we are able to take the lessons from it. May Allah Ta'ala allow us to be the people of the Quran, not to be of those people who either create deviations or follow deviations. May Allah Ta'ala give us access to the right knowledge. May Allah Ta'ala accept from us. May Allah Ta'ala make us of those people whose hearts become soft, who become humble, who submit themselves to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and who do the actions that please Allah Ta'ala, and who have ikhlas, and who become people who are Muslimin in the true sense, and who follow the millat of Ibrahim, who color ourselves in the color of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah ta'ala make us those who are every bit of our existence is covered in Sibghatullah, is in the color of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah ta'ala accept from all of you your time for coming here and from me for being here. Subhanakallahumma ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. I'll stop the recording.